Hey guys, what's up? So last week I showed you my awesome new builder that I totally got hooked up with, and I said that I really need to get my ass into gear and get the rest of my still operational so I can get up and running. So this week I'm going to share my new plan with you, and spoiler alert, I'm also going to be talking about CCVM stills. So welcome to Still It. For anyone that's new, this is the channel all about chasing the craft of home distillation and making it a legitimate hobby. So like I said before guys, it's really time for me to get my ass into gear and get this still up and running. It's a little bit sad that I'm changing my plans because I did put a little bit of time and effort, and you guys gave me a lot of feedback and help getting the Boker head pretty much sorted. The problem with the Boker is still the valve, which should be going on here and isn't. So to expedite the situation a little bit, I'm switching over to a CCVM still. And the idea is to pretty much to design something around the kick-ass boiler that English Hill Distillery hooked me up with. If you haven't seen that yet, check my last video out. I'll put a card up above. It's pretty cool. I'm pretty stoked with it. So I want to get something up and running and take advantage of that ASAP. So this totally does not do it justice, but I was struggling to just build it in SketchUp. This is just a beer keg that I found on the SketchUp gallery. So obviously I didn't build this, but pretty much everything else you're gonna see I did build. If for whatever crazy reason you guys want those models, I don't think anyone will, but if you do, let me know. The idea is to kind of take advantage of what the boiler gives me and build a still around that. So obviously because I can connect the column directly to the still with tri-clamps or tri-clovers, I'm gonna take advantage of that. The idea is to have varying length segments of column, so I can put those together to create different length columns depending on what I wanna do. Seeing as I just wanna get this thing running as a pot still, I'm gonna go with about 40 centimeters first, because I think that'll give me enough room for clearance with the condenser coming over the edge of the keg and being able to have a decent collection area. And that'll also come in helpful later on when I wanna run this as a reflux still too. The next part of the puzzle is a stainless steel three-way ferrule or T-junction. I've just cheaped out and bought this from AliExpress, so it should be here by the time you guys are watching this in about 2 weeks, I hope. The idea is when I'm running this as a pot still, I can just pop the cap on top and run it as a pot still, so it's almost like there's no T-junction there at all. But when I want to run it as a CCVM, I can pop that off. More on that later. So the next thing I need is obviously something to start sending the tubing back down towards the condenser, and hopefully I have the ideal piece for that. For those of you that have been following along with the channel, you may remember this that I picked up at the Rusty Nail a little while ago. I'm thinking this section right here is going to be perfect to do this with. Problem is, and a lot of you guys made sure to remind me and make sure that I checked, that I don't know what whoever put this together has used to put it together with, and there is a chance that there's lead in whatever that is. So picked up one of these today and I'm going to test it. Hopefully it's good to use. So these things actually look kind of cool. They've got two little vials that you break, you mix together, and then you squeeze out through the felt tip. Honestly, I was lazy. I didn't even look into this. I just saw them at the store and bought them. I'm guessing whatever those chemicals are, you can get hold of and sort it out yourself. If anyone has any clue about that, let me know. That'd be really cool. But the instructions have specific instructions for testing lead in plumbing. So I mean, I guess they're at least a good starting point, right? So let's give them a go. Well, that's good news. I'm not going to take this thing as gospel. I'm going to do a little bit of research on it. But at this point in time, I'm thinking I'm going to be able to use that, which is awesome. That's pretty much all the parts I need now to get up and running, I think. So as I was saying, that can be put together like this with a couple of ferrules on either end to be held together by tri-clamps. The added bonus of doing it this way is that I can adjust or spin around that tri-clamp and ferrule, raising or lowering the angle of the condenser to give a better or more convenient location to collect from. So this was the part that I was having trouble with, and I wasn't sure where to go from here. I'm not familiar with working with copper, I'm not familiar with the limitations and strengths. I didn't want to go out and buy reducers in copper or stainless because it was just an added expense. And I kind of felt like there had to be some reasonable, relatively cheap solution that a beginner like me could possibly ascertain. Enter the awesome crew on the NZ Home Distiller forum. Thank you guys. I don't know why I didn't think about it. I don't know why when I saw this in other plans I didn't jump on the idea. But they suggested, why not, instead of going with a standard condenser, go with a shotgun condenser. That way I don't have to reduce down from 2" down to the 1/2" that I was going to use for the inside. And on top of that, I can have a much shorter condenser that's more efficient, as well as potentially having a cool piece of equipment for use later on, because I'm building everything on 2", so I can put it into different parts of the still if I so desire. So this little plan I made up, this is 2" outside with ferrules at either end and 4 3/4" internal tubes. After having a bit of a think about it and having a talk with some other people, I think I'm going to use 1/2" for the internal, and in doing so I can get 5, which should yield a higher surface area overall. Just using what I have laying around and what I've sort of gathered up over the last few months, I think the plan is to make the internal part of the shotgun around 45 centimeters and make the overall piece around about 55 centimeters with the ferrules and a little bit of extra room so the ferrules don't butt up totally against the plates on the inside. Although on the other hand, I had thought of using the plates next to the ferrules to perhaps create an easier seal on the inside. I'm not too sure how that's going to work, so maybe you guys can let me know what you think. At this point in time, I'm planning on either using Silphos or Pro Silver brazing rods. So on the rest of the still, that condenser is going to look like this. So I still have the issue of having to reduce down from the 2" stock down to something that's a little bit more reasonable for collecting out of. But now I'm thinking that because it's got no weight on it or anything like that, I should be able to do something pretty simple. And I'm thinking that I might do that first to have a practice with the brazing. So all of that put together looks something like this, and of course it's all going to be held together with the tri-clamps or tri-clovers. I'm thinking that this is going to be relatively easy to get set up compared to what I was planning before. I have all the parts I need already, or they're on their way. The only thing I need is some equipment to do the brazing with, and I'm working on that tomorrow. So once that's all set up and running, it should be a relatively simple adjustment to add a small extension to the top, once again with tri-clamps, and use the coil condenser that I've already made to go on top and convert it into a CCVM still. So I know I mentioned CCVM last week, and a couple of you guys commented on the video and reached out to me directly and wanted to know what a CCVM reflux column is. I don't want to speak too much out of turn because, to be honest, I'm still researching it and I don't have a full grasp on the theory behind it. I can, however, point you in the direction of someone who seriously does. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure who to credit with designing this style of still. I've seen references to someone called Manu. If you're not from New Zealand, dude, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. But I can say that there's a guy called Dad300 on the Home Distiller forums that seems to be responsible for kind of pushing this design a little bit and giving it a bit of steam and some kudos and making it a little bit more popular. In any case, he's got some really cool threads about the CCVM still. You should probably go and check it out from him. But I'm gonna have a quick crack at it anyway, just so you guys have a basic understanding of it. So before we get started, CCVM stands for Condenser Controlled Vapor Management, and the idea is basically that you have a movable coil condenser that slides up and down inside this three-way ferrule or T-junction, and it allows you to control how much vapor is making it across to the product condenser. Any vapor that hits the condenser, the movable coil condenser, and is sent back down the column rather than across to the product condenser results in additional reflux. The fact that you can physically move this condenser up and down in relation to the T-junction means that you can quite accurately control the reflux ratio. And more importantly for me, it means you can do so without a valve. Really quickly, it's probably worth mentioning that there is a vapor management and a liquid management of this still. I'm going with the vapor management just because it seems more simple to me and more easily changeable and versatile in terms of changing from a pot still to a reflux still. The thing that makes this so attractive for beginners like me is the fact that it is so simple. In my mind, it's more simple to build, and it seems like it's going to be more simple to run as well. But I'll have to get back to you on that once I'm up and running. Obviously, the fact that it doesn't need a valve knocks, I don't know, maybe 20 to 40% off the price of building a still, depending on how you go about it. So that's pretty attractive as well, right? Like I already said, it can be used as a reflux still or a pot still. And unlike a bokeh, when it's being used as a pot still, it's a real pot still. It's not just a reflux still in pot mode. So I think that's pretty cool. So if you're new to the hobby and you're having a look around and you're trying to decide what still's best for you, you may want to have a look at a CCVM. So all in all, guys, I'm pretty excited. I'm hoping the next video you see is going to be me trying to build something. It's probably going to be pretty funny. In any case, this for me is more about kind of learning something new and gathering new skills. So I'm pretty excited about giving the brazing a go. Thanks a bunch for watching, guys. If you liked the video, like. If you really liked it, have a think about subscribing. And I'll see you next time. See ya.